Hello and welcome to another Minecraft Bedrock Edition add-on showcase and tutorial with me, FoxyNoTail, here in truly Bedrock Season 2, which is no longer the world we play on anymore. This is obviously a creative copy, and I'm here with myself, or it's at least my alt account. It is my camera account, but today I'm going to be the camera. And before we get started, I just want to say that this is not replay mod for Bedrock Edition. It kind of works a little bit like that, but there is no replay. It's all live, and the reason for that is it's not possible to capture what the player does and then play it back in Bedrock Edition using add-ons, and I make add-ons, not mods. So if that was possible for me to do, I would do it, but it's not. So I guess we should start from the beginning with what is the Spectator Mode add-on. Well, we'll go over the basics very briefly because I already have a video on this. It's basically an add-on that allows camera accounts or alt accounts to go into Spectator Mode. All you got to do is add the account to your world, run the command tag and then the player's name and add trusted, and then they will be able to crouch while holding a diamond to go invisible and fly. Now, in order to be able to fly, you do need to activate Education Edition on your world. It doesn't change survival mode at all, and it's perfectly safe. So I suggest you do that. If you crouch with a golden carrot, you'll also get night vision, and if you then crouch with an iron ingot when you're on the ground, you will deactivate it, which puts you back into survival. When you become a camera account, you are in adventure mode, so you can't break blocks, you can't do anything wrong, and there are some very basic functions already within the pack that have had a little bit of an update. Basically, if you punch whilst holding a chorus fruit, you will teleport to the closest player to you, and if you punch while holding a water bottle, you will focus on that player. So when that player moves, then you will follow them, which kind of leads to some pretty janky looking time lapses, but it's useful for some things. So those are the things we already had, but now we have a whole wealth of new stuff indicated by all of these crazy things on the board. And yes, we've been using dyes again, peeps. Now, the one that you're all looking forward to is called Path Mode. We're going to do that at the end, and we are going to start with the dyes and stuff so you can see exactly what this is all about. So what I'm going to do is go in this chest here, chuck away this rubbish because I don't need it, and grab myself a bunch of different colours of dye. Next, I'm going to hold the diamond and crouch to activate Spectator Mode, and then I'm going to move that out of the way so it's not in the way anymore. And then I'm going to put all of these dyes into my hotbar. Note that I've got a target block here as well, which is quite important. And yes, I'm invisible. So if I hold onto the red dye and do nothing, I'm going to start moving left. And yes, you get a load of stuff on your screen. Hit F1 to get rid of that, or whatever button it happens to be on mobile. And then if I click with my mouse button to punch holding that dye, I will change direction. So I can basically stand on one spot, hold that, click it to go the direction I want, and do a time lapse of moving along an area without having to have any pathing stuff. I'll just keep going in this direction forever and ever, or until I let go of that item. And each one of the items in my hotbar does a similar thing. So the orange dye will go forwards, and when I click it will then go backwards. The yellow dye will go up relative to the player and then go down relative to the player. And what that means is if I lean forward like this and then hold that, I'm actually going to go up at an angle rather than going directly up. If I turn to the side and hit the brown dye, I'm going to go north no matter what direction I face, and if I click it, then I'm going to go south no matter what direction I'm facing, and if I hold the green dye, I'm going to go up, and if I click it, I'm going to go down. And now if you actually use these dyes whilst in the floor, you can go through the floor, which is kind of like Spectator Mode on Java Edition, although not ever so great on Bedrock Edition. As you can see, it's kind of a little janky. So I guess we should go back up again. And yes, holding the dye that makes you go forwards will also make you go through blocks forwards as well, so you can do a time lapse going all the way through buildings. Just bear in mind you get weird stuff on your screen when you're inside of blocks. Finally, the lime dye will make me go to the east, and clicking it will make me go to the west, and the pink dye will just make me rotate in a circle. Again, it doesn't matter what direction I'm facing, I will rotate in a circle on the spot, and if I click it, I'm going to go anti-clockwise as well. So those all just work by holding them. So if you're just doing a time lapse and you want to have a whole range of movement, you can literally just press the buttons on your keyboard to change what direction you go in. And you might think this is a little bit slow, but bear in mind these are designed for time lapses. There is a way to speed them up. So before we get on to what the target block does, the white, light grey, grey and black die all will change your speed, but this time you've got to click it. So if you hold white die and click it, it will make you go the slowest, which is the default. If you use the light grey die, you'll be at medium. If you use the grey die, you'll be fast, and the black die will be fastest. And to give you an idea of the difference in speed, with the orange die I have in my inventory, which will make me go forward, you can see that I'm not going forwards all particularly quickly at the moment. If I activate the white die, it'll be really slow. The light grey die, a little bit faster. The grey die, a little bit faster. And the black die, a little bit faster. So they're all slow, because this is designed to be used over a time lapse, but you can change the speed. And these speed changes will also come into good effect later on when we get onto the pathing system. But before we do that, there are just a couple more dies that we should look at, because these ones you do need the target block for. So we've got the blues and the purple dies, and it's probably a good idea to grab ourselves a set of shears at this point as well, and a spyglass, and you'll see why in a second. So what I'm going to do while holding the target block is just click in the air, and that is going to create a target point. And what that means when I'm holding these dies is that I will basically go in a circle around it, facing towards it. So if I was to fly up in the air like this and then hold one of the dies, you're going to see that I'm just going to go around that spot. If I hold F1, I'm just going to go round in circles, actually facing towards that die. Again, the coloured dies that change your speed here will increase the speed from which you go round. And there's a range of different things we can do here. So obviously, if I click it, I'm going to go in the opposite direction. And if I hold the different ones, we can go left and upwards in the air, and right and upwards. We can go left and down, and right and down, and then we can go left and in towards the target, or right and in towards the target, and finally left and out away from the target. So basically, we've got a whole range of movements just around that target block. And yes, again, it does seem slow, but bear in mind you're going to be speeding these things while you're recording yourself building in the game. You might notice that the target point has disappeared, however, it is still working. The way we get it back is to actually use the spyglass, but we're not going to look through it. That's not going to help us at all. We're just going to click while holding it, and that will show us where these are. The reason it disappears after a few seconds is basically so you don't have these horrible squares showing up in all of your time lapses. So if you wait a little while, it will disappear, and then it's still there. It's just invisible. You want to see where it is again? Then all you need to do is use the spyglass. And you might notice we've got these shears as well, because obviously we've got an entity just floating around in the world. We don't want a world full of entities. You can only place one at once. If you place another, the original one will disappear. But if you want to get rid of that one, you do need the shears. Just click anywhere and it will disappear. And that is it. There is no more target, because as you can see, I'm selecting these dies. I'm not going around it. So that's all of the basic camera movement covered. We've gone through all of the different dies, how they work with target blocks, and how to activate this pack as well. So I guess now it's time for the good stuff. So of course, with something so exciting, there is a level of complexity to it, but I will try and make this as simple as possible. First of all, I am going to go into Spectator Mode. And then I'm going to get rid of that diamond. I don't need it anymore. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the clock. And you'll see there's a whole bunch of text that comes up and tells me exactly how to use this thing, so you guys don't need to keep spamming my comments with how do I make it work. You'll also find a very handy README file within the pack as well, which has all of the instructions on how this works, as well as an FAQ which should help you with any potential issues you might find as well. Anyway, help screens and FAQs aside, as you can see, I am in path mode. If I click it again, I will not be in path mode anymore. Path mode has been deactivated. If I click it again, I will be back inside path mode and I get the help screen again. While I'm in path mode, the other objects are not going to work. For instance, when I'm holding the die, I'm not going to start moving around anymore. And also likewise, if I was to get the chorus fruit and click on that, I'm not going to TP to other players, which is intentional. Because basically you don't need those things while you are flying around a path. So back in path mode, there's a whole bunch of items that make this work. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to fly over towards my castle, and I'm going to go inside of my castle, and I'm going to place a target. Or in fact, this case, we're going to be calling it a focus point. This is where the camera is going to be focused. So I'm going to click there and create a focus point. Now, again, I can only have one of these in the world. If I place another one, that one's going to disappear. So I'm going to click there, put a focus point down, and now I'm going to come outside. I'm going to grab my compass, and I'm going to start here at the beginning of my path and click to create a path point. And you'll see that is point 1. Now, if I move around here, I can say, okay, this is a good point for a second point. We'll have point 2 there. Maybe we'll have point 3 over here. And maybe we'll drop down a bit and get the 4th point down here. And basically, I can go around the whole castle, adding points wherever I want. And basically, what's going to happen when I start this is I'm going to fly around these points facing towards that focus point inside of the castle. So I'm going to go and just spam a few more around here. You can use 25 points in total. If you try and add any more than that, it won't allow you to. And each player can have 25 of their own points. Now what I'm doing is just going a little bit crazy just to demonstrate the fact that you can have 25. And when you get to the end of the path, when you're running, it will go back to the beginning again. So we got a crazy path system here. And again, you will notice that these will all disappear very slowly over time so that when you're running, they're not going to get in your way. Again, if we want to see those again, we just click with the telescope and they will all pop back into existence so you can see where they are. So then I guess you probably want to just run the path. So if you hold the emerald and click, then you are going to start going round. Again, press F1 and you are now running your time lapse. But you might want to test if the path's working first because this is a little bit slow to wait for the whole thing to go through. So press F1 again, click on your emerald again, and you'll notice I've got a gold ingot here. And when I click that, I'm going to whiz round the path very, very quickly. Obviously, this is absolutely useless for a time lapse, but you will see I'm going to bounce from each one of those path points all the way round and always focus towards that focus point in the middle of the castle, which means I'm always going to be looking in a nice direction and it's going to keep my camera relatively smooth on the time lapse when everything is sped up. So now we've gone through all of those points, it's gone back to the beginning again and it's going to go round and round and round until I click with the gold ingot again to stop it. So basically that's it. And then if I want to actually run it, if I'm happy with that path, I can click on the emerald, get rid of that and start recording, and there we go. I'm now recording the time lapse. I can jump on with my other account and start building or doing whatever I want to do for the time lapse and then just get on with it. But we're not going to do that right now. There's a few things we need to cover. So that path I'm not happy with. It's a bit janky towards the end. I've used way too many path points. So I'm going to use a water bucket and that's going to delete everything. They're all gone now. There are no path points left. So what I can do is make some more. It's also going to have got rid of my focus point in the middle of the castle. So I guess we should probably put that back down. The focus point's not actually necessary, but we will go through that in a minute. And again, I'm just going to come around and just put some basic path points down, all a little bit higher up this time. So we're going to have one there. I'm going to come around here, have one here. So what I've done is I've added 9 of these points all the way around the castle. So then when I do the test, you're going to see I'm going to just fly around relatively smoothly because I'm on the same plane. I'm not going up and down. And when I get back to the beginning again, it's going to restart. Here we go, nearly back to the beginning. So that goes back to the first point and off we go again. But this time, what I want to do is I don't actually want to focus on the castle. I want to just actually look where I'm going around the path. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come inside the castle so I know that I'm near where the focus point is, and I'm just going to hold these shears, I'm going to click it, and that's going to get rid of that one. But it's not going to get rid of the path. The path is still there. So now when I go to test it, instead of looking towards the castle, I'm actually going to be looking towards the next point. So I can actually fly along the path that I've created instead of looking at a focus point. Now, bear in mind, if you're using this for a time lapse, it is going to be quite janky as your screen's moving around a lot. So make sure that the path points are nicely spaced out away from each other. Otherwise, it's going to look kind of weird. And again, we are in test mode, so I guess we should go back to the emerald and see what this looks like in actual time. And it's nice and smooth. But maybe this is a little bit fast. Maybe I don't want to go as fast as this. Well, okay. What I can do is I can grab my dies like we had before, and I can choose what speed I'm going to be going at. So with the white die, I can go the slowest. You can see that's very, very slow. The light grey die slightly faster. The grey die slightly faster than that. And then the black die slightly faster than that. And there we go. We are now using the path points to follow along a path. which kind of looks a little bit weird from this perspective. So let's make a better path that makes better use of this idea. So again, I'm going to use the water bucket to get rid of all the path points. I'm going to grab my telescope just to make sure they have all gone, because bear in mind, you know, these are entities. If you're not close to them when you're deleting them, they may still linger in the background somewhere. So just make sure that you have got rid of all of them, which we have. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back down here next to other me, and I'm going to click a point here, and I'm basically just going to make another one along here, and then here, and we're just going to follow this path around and see where it goes. And there we go. I've now placed all of the points, so I could fly back to the beginning, or I could just grab my gold ingot and start the whole thing. And here we go. We're going to fly through the path that I've just been on, which kind of looks pretty good. And you can imagine, obviously, this is the sped up version rather than the slow version. We would, of course, record this in super slow-mo whilst working on the path work or something like that. And yeah, I could do a better job, I think. Jeez, oh dear, I'm inside things. This is not good. And now this is obviously the exact same thing in slow motion, so I can take control of the other account, and I can maybe go through this house here, and then I could go through this one, and then come around the other side and pop out of another one like this, and then I can go all the way down the street like this, and then I can turn around and come back again. And I've got all of the amazing things I can do whilst recording a time lapse. So there we go. That's pretty much it. There is one more very important thing that you should know, and that is about exiting path mode. When you exit path mode, it will delete all of your path bits and you will have to start again. So only exit path mode if you are finished. Now, I'm not in spectator mode at the minute because I've used the iron ingot, but if I use the spyglass, all of my points are still there. They're not been deleted because I haven't exited the mode yet. I haven't used the clock. So if I go back into spectator mode and use the gold ingot, then you'll see I will be able to go down that path again just as I did before. So if I come out of spectator mode by accident, or if I exit the game for whatever reason, my work is not lost, because when I come back into the game, all of my stuff will still be there. But if I want to start again, or if I want to get rid of that, what I need to do is go back into spectator mode, grab the clock again, and then when I click, it's going to say path mode deactivated. And now when I use the spyglass, you'll see that all of the points are now gone. So I can no longer travel down those points. I need to start again. So there we go. I tried to cram a lot into a small space there, so excuse the jankiness of this tutorial, but I'm sure you get the point, and I'm sure now with these tools at your fingertips, you'll be able to create some amazing things. I'm really looking forward to your feedback on this, and don't forget, if I could create replay mod in Bedrock Edition, I would. This is as close as I can get personally. I'm sure there are other people out there cleverer than me that might be able to do it in the future, but for now, this is what I've got. And this is what you can have for free from FoxyNoTail.com. Go nuts, enjoy, and let me know what you come up with. Anyway, that's enough from me. I hope you enjoyed this short tutorial. If you did, please do leave a like. If you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. Hopefully, I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.